Welcome to the pasture. Believe me when I say this is not how it's supposed to look, especially after all the work we did to get it to be a better pasture. This was a lot of money into this for little result. And they go through it way too quick. And typically it's a cow-calf pair per acre. And as you can see, we're definitely over our limit here. However, these are Dexters, so they're like half the size of a cow, and you can typically get 2 calf-cow pairs per acre. But we're still just pushing beyond what we should. You can see this gives you an idea of scale. This is a fully grown female. Can't weigh more than about 700, 750 pounds. They're small and they're manageable, but they're real hardy and tough, which is great. Now, a few problems when we did this. Our disc was broken and beat up. It was the first time we actually used our disc plow, and it did not even hold up to this. Then we had to run the cultivator over it just to kind of equalize what the disc couldn't do and break up the ground a bit more. And on top of that, when we did this, we did not have our seed drill. So we relied on a broadcaster that was actually more so for fertilizer, and we had to modify it. And it would spread unevenly. We actually put in some wheat seeds with it too, and it was broadcasting those nice, but the small fine grass seeds was not good whatsoever. And lastly, of course, there was a lot of weed competition that came back because we didn't spray this off. So all that, anything that survived, those tough weeds, was able to still keep growing back when we were waiting for our good grass seeds to come up. Believe it or not, this is actually what the pasture looked like when we decided to rip it up and replant it. So considering it's right back to how it used to be, it is disappointing, especially after all the money investment into getting it replanted. So we'll probably have to, not probably, we will in time replant this again with better techniques and fixed up equipment that should do a better job for us. Here's what it looked like when we redid the pasture. And as fortunately as we were going along, we found out that the disc really wouldn't hold up. I mean, we knew it was rough, but it was just breaking discs left, right, and center. The bearings were gone. Everything was rattling loose, and we knew it just wasn't going to be able to finish the job. So we hooked on the cultivator, hoping to finish the field with that instead of the disc plow. So after all that work had been done, there was only one thing left for us to do, and that was wait. So we waited. And waited. And waited. So here we are back in the pasture again, and as you can see, it's nothing like the last video clips you just saw. It's quite disappointing really, but here's what we learned. This is very important. It's best to spray off the weeds, and then get a better start tilling and cultivating the ground. If you don't want to do that and you want to go organically, you will have to plow and cultivate the field more than just like the one time we did it. That way, when the weeds grow, you kind of kill them again, let it sit, and then go back again and keep hitting the field until all that growth is dead. And of course, there's also the having the correct amount of cow-calf pair per acre. That way, they don't go through it too quick. And it's also, like in our case with the Dexter cows being basically like half the size of a typical breed, we can double that. But it can be pretty easy to let it go. So it's also good to have something where you can rotate them off onto. Now, I did divide this previously before, and unfortunately they just broke right through all the work I did dividing it. So that brings us to this episode's golden rule, which is also known as the boot rule, meaning when the grass is at 10 inches or as high as the back of your boot, that's when you bring your livestock on. And when they eat it down to 3 inches, approximately the height of the front of your boot, that's when you take them off. Okay, so here's a pricing breakdown for this project. Now, every day that we get the cows out here on the pasture eating, and we don't have to give them a bale every single day, that saves us $35. However, we still do give them the option of having a bale, which they'll consume at their own rate. So sometimes if the pasture is still really strong and good, it'll last more than a day. It might last 3 to 4 even. So there's a bit of savings there. Now, as far as the seeds go, we spent $500 for the seeds for this 3 acres. The only difference is though, since we didn't have that seed drill I mentioned earlier, we had to spend an additional $250 to kind of correct the error of working with the broadcaster. Now, for the equipment, the disc plow, we got it for $350, which is really low because normally used, you could expect at least $2,000 to $3,000 for one, even at that level that ours is at. So they can be pretty costly sometimes. The cultivator that we used, we got for $250, which typically used they'll go for around $1,500. So we made good savings there. Let me see here. The broadcaster that we used was given to us by a friend, so we didn't have to pay for it. It was free. He was getting rid of it. Used, those would run anywhere from, on average, $500 to $700. Now the chain harrows that we drag behind the tractor to cover over the seeds and kind of make sure they're covered, scuttle the dirt around, that was $50. Normally something like that would run about $400. And then the roller, which we use to tightly pack the dirt around the seeds, there's not supposed to be space around the seeds when you plant, that was got that $90 at an auction, and average would be about $500 used for one of those. Now, in the case of our fence, just in case any of you are going to be doing a pasture like this is a 6-strand high tensile electric fence. We got quoted for this 3 acres at $10,000. However, we're used to doing the work and we have the tools, so we did it ourselves, and we end up paying with all the wire and posts and everything. It costs us $2,400. So there's a significant amount of savings to be made there if you're willing to put in the labor. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the diesel. So the diesel to finish this cost us about $120, and it was approximately $2 a liter at that time. Now as for the pricing to get this pasture done.
No, the golden rule, no?
What do you mean the golden rule? We just did the golden rule.
Or was it good enough?
Okay, so here's a pricing breakdown on this project. Looks like we got company though. Hey Daisy. Anyways, the pricing breakdown was like this. Each time... I'm recording, come on. Each time the cow... And they can freely just go, they get out of the heat, and they're not munching through this.
Okay, so it's still recording. You can insert a clip in here if you wish, okay? Fall, fall, fall.
We should wet that ground again.